Hey guys, Vadim here. Got crap on my face. So I'm in the middle of one of my RDX projects, and I figured it's 100 degrees outside, so I'm gonna take a nice little break in my air conditioner. And I figure I should probably film this because people might want to see this. Catch you up to speed. 22 RDX A-Spec advanced package. I'm doing the function form full exhaust on it. Got WD-40 on my face. I already took off my stock exhaust, and this is when I decided to take a break for some air before I put the new one on. So I'm doing this at home on the ground, and that is probably the most helpful piece of information I can give you about this installation, is to do it at home if you want to keep your stock exhaust and not do it in a shop. Because honestly, the job is pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. The hardest part is getting the car off the ground as high as you can so you can have some room to work under it, which also isn't that difficult. The reason I didn't want to take it to a shop, and I honestly, I don't need a shop. I have a couple of friends who have 2-post lifts in their garages. But when you take your stock exhaust off, you will never be able to bring it home because it is massive. Honda decided to make a one-piece, well, more like 3-piece exhaust. So there's from the mufflers all the way to basically the front of the car, it's one massive piece. And then it's connected to another piece, which is kind of like a flex pipe. And then the third piece is connected to the motor, which is your catalytic converter and your downpipe. I'm not replacing that piece because it was out of stock, but I did get the full exhaust with what Function Form calls front pipe. You'll see what it is. But as far as the stock exhaust, I didn't even dismantle those two. I left the 2 big pieces together, and I'm about to drag them out from under the car, and I'll show you how big they are. So let me go outside and hang on a sec. All right, so here we go. Exhaust is on the floor. Not much tools needed. Pry bars, some WD-40. As you can see, all I really did was put the front on ramps and the rear on jack stands. Nice little blanket under there for me to crawl on. And the only things you really need to dismantle to get your stock exhaust off are these 2 plates, which are held by these little big screws. Just to give you more clearance, there's one on each side. And then there's another one, if you could see over there, which helps you get access to the middle point. But all you really need to do, other than unscrewing these 3 aluminum plates, is break 3 14mm nuts right here. So this is the downpipe and catalytic converter up here. You can see the whole exhaust is on the floor. This would be the front pipe, and you can see those 3 bolts right there that I didn't even bother undoing because why? What's the point? Might as well just keep it as one long piece. So I soaked these guys in. The car's fairly new. I soaked them in rust penetrant 14mm. I hit them with a breaker bar to break them, and I hit them with an impact to take them off. There's your 3 nuts. And then other than that, you're just going to be taking rubber hangers off one by one. I worked from front to rear, and it took me about 10 minutes, and the whole exhaust is on the floor. So let's see what we got here. Here's a whole bunch of new shiny pipes and some dirty oil from this fucking monster of a car. New exhaust comes, I guess, for packaging reasons, in a lot of different pieces. So there are 1, 2, 3. This is the front pipe replacement. Pretty large 3-inch collector here that comes down from the catalytic. And then it goes into this Y pipe or something like that. I don't know how these go. I'm gonna just drag out the stock exhaust and compare it on the floor and see how to lay this out. And then I got 2 mufflers that are in the trunk of the RDX. What else was I gonna say? I had some good points to make. Oh, so The plus side is assembly is easier if you're working on the floor, since it's all made of little pieces. You can hang them one by one and then bolt them together. The reason that Honda makes it all one piece is to prevent exhaust leaks from these meeting areas from the flanges, because you know you're gonna drive around and then these little gaskets are gonna blow out. So if you have an OEM one-piece design, chances are that'll never happen. So the less gaskets you have and flanges you have, the less chances of exhaust leak you're gonna have in the future. So whatever, it is what it is. You know how it is with performance parts. So let me put the camera down for a sec. I'm gonna drag that other exhaust out. Gotta put some gloves on. I'll show you guys the canisters. I actually ended up powder coating the tips gloss black on these bad boys, because why not? Oops, bubble wrap. Bubble wrap. These things are freaking beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. I think that's gonna look super sweet. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping it's gonna sound as good as it looks. So let's see. All right, that was fucking exhausting. No pun intended. This thing is fucking heavy as hell. So fair warning, if you're doing this by yourself, be prepared to pull some weight, because it's a monster and it's really heavy. So I laid everything out to make sure everything goes the way it goes, except for the mufflers. I left them in there just to keep them safe from getting scratched up and stuff. So my plan basically is to not bolt this together until it's hanging off the car, because it's going to be one heavy product. So plan of action, I'm going to hang the front pipe first with these guys. Then I'm going to bolt those 3 bolts up, so that should be a nice secure fit. Now this Y pipe has no hangers, so I'm going to leave it out for a second. And then I'm going to hang these 2 pipes and this little H looking pipe, because they have hangers on them. And I'm going to hang the mufflers, and then I'm going to loosely bolt everything together, and at some point this will get bolted on. And then when all the bolts are in and everything is assembled, then I will go over every nut and bolt and tighten it. So let's see how this goes. It's really fucking hot out here. Why did I have to do this today? I don't know. Too bad my garage is tiny and it holds a race car, which is not really a race car. But that's a story for another day. I get sidetracked really easily. Oh, that air feels so good. I'm literally about to die right now. On the plus side, let's check this out. I'm pretty much all done. And that is a very nice sight, not seeing new exhaust parts laying next to this old one. I have no idea where I'm gonna fucking put this thing. It's literally like, I don't know, maybe I'll throw it on the roof. All right, final thoughts. So if you're planning on doing this on the ground, bring a buddy. It's pretty hard to do by yourself. It's not impossible, but stuff like this isn't really something I'm not used to, so I managed. The reason for that is it's because the build of this exhaust is extremely awesome. Everything is super tight fitting, fits perfectly. I have 0 complaints. Let's give you a little info of some tools. This is pretty much all the tools I used. Some leftover hardware from Function Werk. Pry bar for the rubber hangers. Big fat screwdriver for the clips to take the heat shields off. Breaker bar. All you really need is a 14mm socket and a 10mm socket for some tiny little bolts. Ratcheting box, didn't use it. To bolt up all the new hardware, I honestly really used this guy. and this guy with a 14 on it. So 14 millimeter. That's it. You could use this for fun, not necessary. The only things, so there were a couple of hiccups. These heat shields are staying off. The reason is the ones by the mufflers came with instructions that says yada yada, you must modify heat shield. I was about to. This is by the driver's side muffler. I drew a line to cut this panel off, and I said, you know what, this car is leased, and just in case I decide to return it, which I don't think I'm going to do, I probably shouldn't cut stuff apart. So I left them off. This is the big heat shield right in the middle of the car. The front pipe basically kind of touches right here. So it's not necessary. I mean, these things over a couple of years get wet, rusty, and fall off and make rattling noises. People throw them away anyway. So I'm just going to keep it in my garage. Other than that, let's see here. I'll go through the entire fitment from front to back. So the only one bit of fitment that I'm kind of not happy about, and I mean, I really can't complain because of performance parts. This is as close to perfect as it gets. But this passenger side muffler, oh, I hate being on the floor. It's very close right here, so I'm assuming from rattling, and this is where the heat shield was, these bolts right here, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter. There was a whole heat shield wrapped around this area. And the reason they tell you to modify the heat shield is to get this away from it. Because with the heat shield on, it's almost impossible to push the muffler and hang it onto the hanger. And I realized that because I tried and I forced it. I'm like, oh, I'm stupid, I should read instructions. So I took that heat shield off. This side is pretty close, but there's a gap and I'm wobbling it really hard and it doesn't touch. But I can't say the same for the passenger side because, I don't know, I might stick a piece of rubber in there because, see how close that is? Yeah, it might definitely need to be hanging, or maybe, I doubt I can find a longer rubber hanger, because I mean, if this would drop just ever so slightly, like downward, that would fix the problem, because if you pull it down, it obviously, when it vibrates, it won't touch it. So I don't know. The rest of these hangers, they fit pretty well. But yeah, it looks freaking awesome, and the fitment is magnificent. But yeah, it's kind of hard to crawl under this car while filming, so let me go around and I'll go back to the front of it. Sorry guys, I'm not really a YouTuber, so don't expect fancy music and transitions and stuff, as you already know, because I don't give a crap. I'm just doing these videos randomly to help some people out. So here we are. Yeah, order of operations. So like I said, here's the front pipe. And that big heat shield was basically right here. And somewhere in this area, the heat shield was like, just laying, well, sorry, it covers this. So it was laying and touching like right here and right here, which is a no-no, because all that's gonna do is rattle. But yeah, these two heat shields I put back on, because why not? They're not in anyone's way. And as you can see, you don't need to take them off. Oh, I'm crawling on my back. But the only reason I took them off is to kind of get easier access to these three bolts, because these heat shields are kind of tight. So yeah, that's about it. Also, I just realized all these videos I've been filming, with my phone upright instead of on horizontal, so it might be an annoying YouTube video to watch. Oopsies. Anyhow, yeah, so I bolted this one up first, bolted those guys in, hung this hanger on, and then I skipped all of this crap. I went all the way to the back. I hung the mufflers, then I hung the H pipes, then I hung these two individual pipes one by one, and then this Y pipe that has no hangers. This was the hard part to do by yourself, because so I basically had, you know, the front pipe and then those two pipes, and I had to put this in the middle without having a hanger to help me, which is where a second person would come in handy while you kind of line up the holes and bolt it up. You have to basically take the front pipe and pull it back really hard, which there's not much room for play, and you have to take these pipes and push them that way, because it was a really tight fit to get this in, but it's not impossible. I kind of put my foot on that little, so the H pipe down there, if you could see, has a little bar welded in, so I put my foot on that bar and kind of gently pushed it, so I just used my body for leverage. And that's about it. And once these guys were all bolted up, once I had every nut and bolt in, I basically went from front of the car to the back of the car, and I torqued them all down carefully, trying to align the gaskets as best as possible. Don't forget your gaskets, you might need those. And that's about it. It's pretty much done. And the only other thing that you would normally do with polished pipes is go over them with alcohol to get all your fingerprints off, because all the fingerprints from heat will burn in and leave permanent marks. And if you don't care, whatever. Some people don't care because it's under the car and you can't see it. I'm kind of picky, because every now and then when the car is on the lift, it looks nice and shiny. If you want to go the extra mile, you can wipe down all the pipes with WD-40, which is what I'm gonna do. And when the heat burns that in, they start changing into all these cool colors, like titanium looking colors, like gold, red, and blue and stuff. So I think I'm gonna do that, because, you know, why not? Fuck it. The only thing that happens with that is once you start the car, it'll kind of smell like burnt WD-40 for a little while until it all evaporates. So yeah, why am I doing this? I'm too old for this. So yeah, let me go do all that, lower the car, and I'll do a cold start, see how it sounds. Really glad I powder coated the chips gloss black, because they look sweet next to the gloss black diffuser on the 22 models. All right. Okay. Alrighty, all buttoned up. I guess let's do the cold start. I can't take it off the ramps until I start it, obviously, so let's do this. Where do I put this camera? I'm not going to put it right against the exhaust like all the other YouTube people do, because I don't know, I feel like it distorts everything, but I don't know. Let's see, maybe I'll just lean it over here somewhere. Somehow. Hopefully it can still be heard. I don't have a tripod or anything. I'm so not professional at this, but all right. I'm just gonna leave it right here. Say that was nice. It was a very heavy rumble from inside the car, And as you can see, a couple of seconds in, I barely hear it. Can't wait to drive it. It has a very nice low bass on idle, so where I'm sitting here, I can kind of feel the ground rumbling ever so slightly. I have a feeling this is going to sound beautifully. Unfortunately, I don't have a GoPro or anything that I could suction cup to my car and do some pulls on the streets and on the highway and stuff, but I'll give it some driving. Maybe I'll do a little clip from inside the car. Let's see how this goes. I got to get showered and get my ass ready for work. Here's one from the inside. Okay, update. This is a little bit of an annoying task, but I managed to fix the problem. So, where I said the exhaust was contacting the chassis, right? Let's see. Right here, where the heat shield was, and same thing on that side. Right there. Good amount of room now. At first, I got a little piece of, can't even find it now. Where the hell is it? It's gone. I had a little piece of radiator hose that I cut. So maybe like an inch wide and just half of the hose. And I shoved it in here to prevent this from rattling and hitting the frame. On this side, after about a few days of driving, it wiggled its way out and popped out. So I said, you know what, let me do a better fix. Here's the fix. So these bushings up here, these exhaust hangers, they're actually directional. And if you take them off, you'll see right here it says up. What I did was I put them upside down, and it allows you to hang just a little bit lower, which is great. So basically, take both mufflers, top hanger, and flip them over. And then with this hanger right here, let me back up so you can see which one it is. This hanger right here, also on both sides, they're symmetrical. What I did here was, even when you flip this one over and it hangs down a little bit, when you put this one on, it pulls it back up. So these are such unique shaped hangers that you can't really find aftermarket ones that are different lengths, because with like the older Hondas that have standard like H-shape hangers, you can find extended ones or adjustable ones. These are very unique shapes, so you can't find anything. You just have to make your own. So basically, step one, flip that guy upside down. Step two, if you look closely, I shoved this guy in here on both sides. Now what this is, if you know anything about older Hondas, I don't have a part number, unfortunately, but these, I believe, are bushings that, what do they hold? I think like an air intake box. So it's like a 1-inch rubber barrel, and it has a nut that goes through it. I'm sorry, it has a stud that goes through it. I should have probably filmed what it looks like before stuffing them in there. I only had 2 spare ones in my box of spare crap from older Hondas. But basically, what I did was I grabbed this pipe. Oop, I'm not gonna get fingerprints on it, I just wiped it. So I grabbed the pipe and pulled it as hard as I can to stretch this whole bushing open, and I shoved these little guys into the hole to basically expand it. So it's kind of ghetto, but it does the trick, because it'll hold, it gives you just a tiny bit more clearance, and it extends this whole bushing by like, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or so, which is just what you need, because now you have a good amount of space right there, and I grabbed this and pulled this as hard as I could, up and down, and that is not touching the frame. You can stick your whole pinky through there. So it looks close, but it's not touching. And I don't think it will touch. I will take it for a test drive, look for some bumps and make some sharp turns and whatnot. And it should fix the problem, I think. So all you gotta do is get yourself a set of these little bushings and shove them into the bushing. Where is it? Where is it? I lost it. There it is. So you could probably tell from here, it's just a circle cylinder. Looks like a little rubber log with a stud that goes through it on both sides. See? If I could find what it is or what it's for, it's an OEM Honda part, and you could probably, since they're for older Hondas, you can probably get them from generic parts stores as like replacement bushings or whatever. But you know, sometimes you just have to think outside the box, and this is exactly why I hoard a bunch of old crap and parts. You know, don't go crazy hoarding stuff, but it never hurts to have, like, you know, random boxes for like clamps, vacuum things, you know, more clamps, just like stuff like this. You never know when you're gonna have use for it. You know, little spacers and crap, door clips, whatever. Just if you have an old car that you take apart, or many old cars, it's always a good idea to save OEM hardware and little trinkets and stuff, because even if you never need it for what it's used for, you might need something for something totally different. So yeah, back to the test drive, I guess. All right, so I'm on my way to work. I'm stuck in a bunch of traffic. Yeah, not looking that great. If you guys are from New York, you'll know what the Van Wyck is all about. Anyway, I thought I would take this time to make the final segment of the video where I just talk about, you know, how I like the exhaust and whatnot. It's been about, I don't know, a week or two since I filmed all the other clips during the installation, and I've just been driving it around. I gotta say, I'm like 50-50 on it. I kind of like it, and I kind of fucking hate it. I'm not gonna lie. For a really expensive exhaust, full price is like $2,600, I think. I got it on like a 4th of July sale. I saved a couple of $100. Anyway, I ended up paying like $2,200 or $2,300 for it. I mean, for that money, I would expect this to sound magnificent. And honestly, I'm driving 20 miles an hour right now. You can barely hear it, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. It's very quiet if you drive it with like minimal throttle. Very quiet. You can drive it comfortably in comfort mode, in normal mode. I don't know about snow mode because it's not winter, so who cares. Sport mode, it'll keep the gears lower, so you'll hear it even when normal driving. But aside from that, so like I said, I'm on the Fearable Stage 3 tune, and Fearable claims that their tune is compatible with all bolt-ons, you know, air filter, exhaust, front pipe, not performance pipe, which I don't have. They say it will need a slight retune or something like that for performance pipe, which is the header, if you recall. And if you change the MAF sensor for a bigger intake or whatever, then you need another tune. But anyway, all I have is the exhaust and the front pipe. According to them, it should be fully compatible, no issues, no problems. I could see that. There are no issues, there are no problems. But at what expense? And nobody tells you this. So I'm not a stranger to tuning. You know, you guys seen my Honda in the garage. I've been to Derek's shop at Innovative Motorworks in Pennsylvania a handful of times. He's very familiar with my car. We all know that every little change you make to your car, you should tune it. You don't have to in some cases. The car will still run. Will it run optimally? I don't know. Point is, I had a hunch that bolting this on was gonna affect the car some way, somehow, and I was right. So I wrote a letter to Fearable. I said I've been enjoying their Stage 3 tune for about 3 years. I'm not trying to call them out on this, by the way. They're, I get it. They did nothing wrong. They did their job. They sent me my tune. I told them I was enjoying it. But I also discussed what I was having, I would say, inconveniences with. So, all right, I'm going a little faster now, 50 miles an hour. You could hear it if I downshift a little bit. Anyway, back to the story. The car feels extremely sluggish. Like, comfort mode, forget it. It keeps wanting to upshift. So if you're driving slowly and calmly, 20 mile, 30 mile, 50 mile an hour traffic, 60 mile an hour traffic, if you're driving calm on the highway, it's going to be up in 10th gear before you know it. And I find myself needing to accelerate, and I step on the gas a little bit. It won't want to downshift. There's I don't know if it's because there's no down pressure or whatever, and I'm not sure if the downshifting in this car is related to exhaust pressure in any way, shape, or form. But the car just will not want to downshift, and it just goes moo, and you feel like you're lugging the engine. And you can look at the boost gauge. It'll go into boost. It's not downshifting, and it does not feel right. So I'm not happy about that. On the other end of things, if you want sounds and noises and whatnot and you floor it, normal mode is beautiful, sport mode is beautiful. It's not a loud exhaust, and when you absolutely floor it, it sounds awesome. It doesn't scream. It just amplifies that nice Honda motor sound. It's not an exhaust sound. It's not a raspy Honda sound, but it's a nice, aggressive motor sound, which is beautiful. The problem is, there's no in between. You cannot drive this car in between. You're either driving it slowly and smoothly and comfortably, expecting to never accelerate, or you're giving it full throttle, not giving it care about gas or anything, and just balls to the wall. Sounds great, pulls okay. The biggest issue is mid-range. If you want anything between slow and fast, you have to listen to ear-bleeding drone. It just non-stop, non-fucking stop. So if you're on the highway doing 50 or 60 and you downshift a little bit and you find yourself in 5th, 6th, or 7th gear, you're in for a freaking treat. Get some fucking military grade earplugs, because this shit sucks. Fucking sucks, excuse my language. I did not expect to pay this much money and just get nothing but drone during your most average commute driving. So, a little bit unhappy about that. The other thing I wrote in my letter to Fearable was that I see immediate decreased gas mileage. It sucks. I was getting, so when I had my 2019, I was getting 17, 18 miles per gallon commuting in Queens, New York, and that kind of, it sucked. But then I moved out a little farther out into Long Island, and then I got this car, and I was able, even with the Stage 3 tune, I was able to average a good 20 miles a gallon, which it's not great compared to some other cars, but coming from 17 miles a gallon, 20 was okay. If I can hit 300 miles on a tank of gas, I was pretty happy with it. I'm doing 15s now with no change in driving, just regular commute, a little bit of highway, a little bit of city, back and forth. 15 miles a gallon. What's going to happen if I open it up a couple of times? I'm going to be doing 10 mile a gallon tanks on a fucking Honda? No way. So I can't be mad at the exhaust company. They're just making exhausts. I have mixed feelings on Fearable, because they responded to me. They said bolting on that exhaust should be doing none of these things to your car. I wrote them an intricate detailed email describing all the symptoms. You know, even for their R&D, it could be helpful. And they just gave me like a 1-sentence response of, it should not be doing this to your exhaust, to your car, I'm sorry. So now, you know, what do you do? Do I just deal with it? Do I put the stock exhaust back on? I don't know. I really don't know. I might reach out to Derek with the same thoughts. If any of you guys know who he is, he's one of the best tuners on the East Coast. Derek Robinson at Innovative Motorworks. I might reach out to him and see what he thinks on this issue. But, you know, what can I say? Sometimes it sounds nice, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's fun to drive, sometimes it's not. Performance-wise, I gotta be honest, I feel like the car is slower. You notice the decrease in low end right away because obviously you lose some back pressure, and you know, some people tell you, oh, that's a myth or whatever. It's not. It's not. The car feels like probably just as slow or fast or whatever you want to call it as it was before the tune. So it feels like the car is back to stock, even though it's on a stage 3 tune. So it feels like it's back to stock, just with annoying drone sound. So why make that investment of over $2,000 to undo your tuning, which, you know, that was an investment also because K-Tuner costs about $600 or whatever it was, and then the tune costs another $100 or $200 or whatever it was. So that's, you know, it adds up. And I slapped this exhaust on to give it a nice little aggressive sound, and all it did was make the car slower and annoying to drive. So I don't know what to make of it. I'm not gonna do any video driving pulls, and because obviously I'm just holding my phone. I don't have a tripod or an adapter on the seats or a GoPro or any of that stuff. So I'm not gonna do any pulls. Plus I'm in the middle of New York where there's a bunch of traffic, so you won't get to hear any of the sounds through my phone speaker. But you get the idea. It's quiet low end, it's fucking horrible mid-range, and it sounds magnificent high end. How often in New York City can you really drive your car full throttle, you know? I took a road trip to Pennsylvania, which was a 2.5-hour trip, just to really test my gas mileage theory. This was just 2 days ago. So I went out to a friend of mine's birthday, and I said, you know what, before the road trip, I'm going to fill up a fresh tank of gas, and I'm going to hop right on the highway. And it was a Sunday trip, so if you're from New York and, you know about road trips, Sunday's the way to get out of here. Usually, for all you guys who follow your gas mileage patterns, you're probably aware that if you get on the highway, on an open highway, right out of a gas station, your gas mileage is going to look really good really fast, right? Like it'll shoot up to like 25, 27 miles per gallon. So by the time I got all the way out to Pennsylvania, 2 hours later with smooth sailing traffic, I was at 21.5 miles per gallon. I should have been at 30, at least, because on these long road trips, I've seen the car will go up to about 30, and then it'll kind of plateau, and it'll go to 29, 28, back to 29, maybe 30. And then by the time I get back home or whatever, I'll hit a couple of red lights, and it'll drop to like 27 miles per gallon. So on a good road trip, like, it'll hit 27s. Back and forth. Damn it, my video cut off. So yeah, 5-hour road trip, 2.5 hours each way. By the time I get home, that whatever I had left in the tank, my mileage was reading 21 miles per gallon. That's an immediate indicator that the exhaust had a direct effect on the tuning of the car. So Fearable's not taking my word for it. It's kind of sad, but what are you gonna do? Maybe somebody will tag them in this video or something like that. So those are my final words. Do with them as you wish. Can I open it up over here? I'm in 40 mile an hour traffic, and let's see, maybe put it in sport mode. You could hear it right away, changes a little bit. So this is 5th gear. I put it manually in 5th, and I'm just rolling with my foot off the gas. And I'm gonna give it gas, just constant gas. If I was going faster than this, maybe 60 miles an hour in this gear, it would just be bad drone. But I don't know. What do I do here? Maybe I can turn the phone around and do a quick pull with the phone on against the windshield. This is illegal, so by the way, I'm in Mexico now. Sounds good, right? Has a little rumble when you throttle and let go. So yeah, unless you're driving like that, don't expect to enjoy the sound, because here it is. Here's the drone. Now I'm driving 60 in like 5th gear, 6th gear, and it's just humming and vibrating my ears. And I'm gonna slow it down and end this video. I hope I was able to help some of you guys who are in the market of buying this exhaust. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you don't care about drone, maybe you won't like it. I would assume getting the performance pipe might help. I don't know, but I know for a fact that slightly retuning it will definitely help. So maybe screw Fearable, and I'll just go back to Derek and have him manually tune the car properly, because he's the man. Or maybe I'll just get a bigger turbo. I don't know. Yeah. Alrighty. I'm almost at work. I'll let you guys go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Send me some questions. Like, share, comment, follow. What do the YouTube people say? What do you need to do? Comment and follow. Link in bio. Cash App. I don't know. Okay, bye.